my name's Nick Fisher. In this episode, I'll be talking about imminence as it relates to the Rapture and the Olivet Discourse. Pre-tribulation believers say that Jesus Christ's coming is imminent. In the context of the Rapture, those who use the term mean that Jesus could and will come back secretly at any moment and take his church to heaven without any warning or notice, leaving everyone else, including nominal believers, behind. Does imminence, as taught in Scripture, demand a pre-tribulation rapture? Nothing else needs to happen on God's prophetic clock before the rapture occurs, say the pre-tribulation experts. And seemingly in support of this view are the words of Jesus. But about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. According to the doctrine of imminence, if we Christians were to see any tribulation events occur, even the very first one, we would be able to know when Jesus is coming, because we could calculate his coming from Bible prophecy. And this cannot happen since Jesus said he would come like a thief in the night. Therefore, his secret coming must happen before the 7-year tribulation. The church will be taken in a surprise rapture before Antichrist's peace treaty is signed and before the tribulation begins. Don't even question the doctrine of imminence, insist the experts. That's very nearly heresy. Imminence is presented on one web page in defense of the pre-tribulation rapture as the granddaddy of proofs. Admittedly, it's clear from Jesus' own words that we can't know the day or the hour of his coming. So, it's inarguable that his coming truly is imminent. No one knows about that day or hour, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. But is it imminent in the sense that pre-tribulation theory demands it is? The dispensational view of Scripture, which I subscribe to, understands at least half of the Olivet Discourse to cover literal events which are still future. Because those events and warnings of the discourse which are yet future speak of tribulation events, and because it's clear that believers in Jesus Christ will be present on the earth at that time, pre-tribulation teachers will say, as they must, that these prophecies don't concern the church at all. Instead, they're intended for a Jewish remnant, also known as the elect, who will be on the earth during the tribulation, while the church is in heaven. However, there's one very large problem with this claim. It was during the Olivet Discourse on end times events, and to those believers who Jesus said would be present for those events, that he said these words, "Therefore, keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. And, therefore, keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour." There's something wrong here. Why would Jesus say, "You do not know the day or the hour," to the very people who the pre-tribulation believers say will be on the earth during the tribulation, if that warning is intended to support a pre-tribulation rapture? Pre-tribulation people tell us these quotes declare that the rapture is imminent and so will come before the tribulation. But, in fact, Jesus is saying these things for the benefit and instruction of the people who will be living on earth during the tribulation. Jesus wasn't talking to believers who might be gone before the tribulation when he said, "You do not know the day or the hour." He was talking to his disciples about end times events and his visible, physical coming in power and glory. What's more, if Jesus were referring at all to early rapture candidates in his Olivet Discourse, wouldn't he have said something like this? Fear not, because you will not have to deal with these terrible events. There's more bad news for the pre-tribulation interpretation of imminence. The idea that seeing a tribulation event would enable us to calculate the day and hour of his coming, and so would break his words, is not correct. Here's another quote of Jesus from the same passage. So when you see standing in the holy place the abomination that causes desolation. Since Jesus was speaking here to the same people who he told could not know the day or the hour of his coming, why did he give the warning of the abomination of desolation? This event is clearly said in Daniel's prophecy to be at the midpoint of the 70th week of years, and Jesus told his disciples that they would see it. If this was intended as a warning, not to the church but to a Jewish remnant, wouldn't they be able, upon seeing the abomination of desolation, and according to pre-tribulation logic, to calculate the day and the hour of his coming? Why then did he tell the same people they could not know the day or the hour of his coming? By the reasoning of pre-tribulation theory, the people Jesus was addressing in his Olivet Discourse, who, they say, represent the Jewish remnant, should also be aware of the peace treaty, which, they say, will be made to enable the rebuilding of the temple. Therefore, under the logic of imminence theory, the Jewish remnant would be able to calculate the day and the hour of his coming. But Jesus told them they could not know the day or the hour. When Jesus said, "No one knows about that day or hour," in verse 36 of Matthew 24, he had, moments before in verses 29 to 31, been speaking about his physical, visible, appearing in power and glory for all the world to see, not about a secret rapture. Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. Then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then all the peoples of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. Now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near. Even so, when you see all these things, you know that it is near, right at the door. Truly I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. But about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. Jesus is speaking about his physical coming here. And what Jesus discusses immediately after this statement about the day and hour is also instructive. Jesus used this phrase not to prepare his listeners for a secret rapture, but to warn of impending judgment which will come upon the lost, just as the flood of Noah's day did. But about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day Noah entered the ark, and they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. Therefore, keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known at what time of night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would not have let his house be broken into. So, also you must be ready, because The Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. All these comments and warnings come after Jesus' description of his coming in power and glory. Therefore, the fact that the day and the hour of the coming of Jesus cannot be known applies to his physical, visible appearing in power and glory, not to a pre-tribulation rapture. Strangely, the same people who say that nothing needs to happen before the rapture will tell you that there are plenty of signs of the coming tribulation to be seen now, and they proceed to publish books and videos and TV shows about these very signs which they are clever enough to detect.